So today we're going to talk about bullying, and we're going to talk about bullying from three different perspectives. We're going to talk about bullying from the perspective of if you are bullied and you are a victim of bullying, how should you respond? We're going to talk about bullying also from the perspective if you are a bystander and you observe bullying taking place, how should you respond? And finally, we're going to talk about if you are a bully, how should you reply, or what should you do if you are currently a bully? All right, so we're going to be in Nehemiah chapter 4, starting in verse 1. Before I read from Nehemiah, some context for what's happening here. Israel disobeyed God. They worshiped false gods for generations and generations, so they were punished, and they were taken captive by a foreign nation in a foreign land. So a nation came in, destroyed the city of Jerusalem, and dragged off the Israelites as captives. Well, when they were in this foreign land, after a certain period of time, God allowed them to come back to their homeland and rebuild their city, particularly the city of Jerusalem. So they left captivity. Actually, the king gave them favor and even allowed them to go back and gave them some supplies. And under the leadership of a man named Nehemiah, who wrote this book, and you'll hear him writing from his perspective, they go home. But here's the problem. When they get back, the city is run down. The walls are broken down, which was important for defending it. All of the buildings are thrashed. It'd be like if Canada came in, captured all of Leesburg, dragged us off into captivity in the evil north. And, Leesburg was left destitute for 70 years, and we come back. Our homes would be dilapidated. I guess we don't really have defenses. We don't have like city walls around Leesburg. But everything would be destroyed, and our church would be, torn down. We'd have to rebuild all these things. And so the first thing they do when they get back is they worship God, offer sacrifices to him. And then the second thing they do is they start building up the city walls. They are building a defense so that if anyone attacks the city, they can defend it. Because right now there are massive holes from when the city was taken over in the walls. So they begin this work of building it. And so just to clarify, they're doing God's work. They're being very selfless, and they're being led by a godly man named Nehemiah. So let's read here the response of the other people that are around the city of Jerusalem once they start rebuilding the walls. They start bullying them. Read with me here. It says, Sabalt was very angry when he learned that they were rebuilding the wall. He flew into a rage and mocked the Jews, saying in front of his friends and the Samaritan army officers, "What do these bunch of fools, these feeble Jews, think they are doing? Do they think that they can build the wall in a single day by offering a few sacrifices? Do they actually think that they can make something of stones from the rubbish heaps and the charred ones at that?" Tobiah, the Amorite, who was standing beside him, remarked, "The stone wall would collapse if even a fox walked on top of it." Pause there for a second. So the enemies that are surrounding Jerusalem, the city, begin mocking the Israelites for building up their wall. And they're doing this in a very public manner. Publicly with all the officers, all his friends, this king is mocking them like, look at these stupid Israelites. They're trying to rebuild their walls. Their city is destroyed. Why are they even bothering to do this? And I think it is worth noting, Nehemiah is writing this, right? Nehemiah writes this, and he remembers word for word one of the insults of the bullies that is speaking to him. He remembers it word for word because he writes it down here. It says, "The stone wall will collapse if even a fox jumps on top of it." It's kind of a funny insult if you think about it. They're like, that wall's so weak, even a fox jumping on top would just crush it. But it's worth noting that Nehemiah hears this insult, and he remembers it for years. He writes it into this passage. And he is certainly going to be affected by these insults, but not in the way that you might think. For if you keep reading, the next thing that he does is he prays to God. He prays, "God, I pray that you fight on our behalf, that you tear down our enemies, and that you fight for us." And then it says down here in verse 6, "At last the wall was completed to half its height around the entire city, for the people worked with" what? Enthusiasm. It says they were doing the right thing. They were building this wall. They were honoring God. They're building it to protect their people. And they built it up to half height. So it's currently built up halfway. It's almost done. It's halfway there. And they work, even after being insulted, they even double their efforts in working hard and doing what they're called to do. So let's read today a little bit, or let's talk a little bit today about bullying, because Nehemiah is being bullied here. The Israelites are being bullied, and they're going to respond to their bullies in a certain way. And I think that we can learn from that. But first, let's talk about what bullying is. Bullying, the definition is, the verb is to use superior force, strength, or influence to intimidate someone, typically to force him or her to do whatever they want. The noun for a bully is a bully who uses strength or power to harm or intimidate those that are weaker. So when we talk about bullying, it is something that in middle school is still very prevalent, and in elementary school is as well. And as you get older, I have news for you, it doesn't go away. It just changes in the way that people are bullied. When you were younger, for example, on the playground, bullying could be as simple as an insult where someone's like, "Hey, you're a stupid head." Like, that's like the insult level of like a, kindergartner or first grader. Like that's like, "Whoa, he said the S word. He said stupid." Whoa, like, that's like a big deal then. Or like, "I'm not inviting you to my birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese." Ooh, like that, that's maybe some bullying that might go on in elementary school. But as you get older, it changes. And so let's talk about the different ways people bully. One way that people bully is verbally. You can bully someone with cruel language. You can throw insults, mocking their appearance or mocking what they do or their actions. You can mock somebody with inappropriate sexual comments or taunting or name calling or teasing in general. And what's noticeable to me is this. We see this kind of mocking happening to Nehemiah here, where verbally he's being mocked. And I keep coming back to this, he remembers that phrase, that insult. How many of you, raise your hands, remember being called a name, you remember the name, or you remember the phrase that someone made fun of you? Anyone remember a phrase that a bully might have said to them at some time? I'm shocked at how often we remember, and I can think back to middle school, high school, even elementary school. I remember the names that I was called. I remember the gossip that was spread about me. I remember in particular even the phrases that were said to me. I'm a grown adult man, and I still remember those things. And often we remember our insulters and what they say to us more readily than we remember the people that encourage us. Words have power. And that phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is garbage, okay? It's not true. Because words do hurt us. Words wound us, and words can sometimes cause us to either believe a lie about ourselves, or words can cause us to change our actions. Someone might bully us for something that we're doing, and we change the way that we're living or acting. But notice Nehemiah here. Nehemiah is mocked for doing something that is good. He is building the wall up. He's protecting his community. He's protecting his people. He's obeying the word of God. He's offering sacrifices. And here's the enemy mocking him. Look at you offering your sacrifices to your gods or to your God. Look at you trying to build up a wall, do something. What's wrong with you? And he's being mocked for doing that which is right. And sometimes bullies will mock you for doing good things. In my school, sometimes people would mock the smartest kids in our grade. They would make fun of the people that were getting good grades. Like, "Oh, look at these guys. They're studying so hard and trying to get perfect scores." And in hindsight, I think about that. I'm like, wait, you're mocking someone for caring about their education, working hard at their schoolwork so that they can better themselves for the future? Why is that funny? Like, why is it funny to mock someone for trying hard at school? Another time in PE, I remember people would make fun of others for trying hard at the pacer test. We had this test where you would run and you would do wind sprints, and it measured basically your endurance. And I remember some people in the class would make fun of the kids who were tryhards. Look at these tryhards. They're like trying hard. Look at them, losers. And I'm looking back and I'm like, so you're lazy. You're bragging about being lazy and making fun of someone else for being better at you and trying harder? Like, if you think about that, like, that's embarrassing the more you think about it. But here's the reason people do that, okay? Bullies will sometimes verbally insult someone else who's doing good because they don't like the fact that this other person is distinguishing themselves in some way. If you take a bunch of crabs and you put them in a bucket, they try to get out. They try to climb up the wall. And if there was just one in there, it could easily climb out. But when you have a bunch of buckets in the same, a bunch of buckets, a bunch of crabs in the same bucket, what happens is one of them starts to crawl up and the others grab its legs or its backside and pull it down, and then it tries to get up first. And if the crabs just let each other be, they could all just climb out very easily. But they don't. They pull each other down. I think that's what's happening sometimes in middle school, in elementary school, in high school. Bullies see someone getting ahead, someone distinguishing themselves, someone doing something good, and they mock it because they don't want someone else to look better than them, to try harder than them, to better themselves. And I think one bit of advice I would give you if you are a victim of bullying and you are doing something that is good, that is right, don't stop doing what you're doing. Nehemiah kept building the wall. He kept moving forward, though he was being mocked. He's like, this is a good work. If anything, I'm going to double down on doing that which is right. If you're being mocked, for example, for working hard at school, here's my challenge to you. If someone mocks you, don't quit doing something that you're good at. Double down and do it even better. Someone's mocking you for running the pacer test and trying hard, or someone's mocking you at practice because you're running sprints real hard. Make them, I shouldn't say this, well, I will. Make them feel embarrassed for how hard you're working and how lazy they are. Show them up by doubling down and being even better. I remember I was made fun of in high school on my football team. I was brand new to the area. I moved to Loudoun County when I was a junior in high school, and I joined the football team. And for the first few weeks, no one even knew my name. They just called me Georgia because I moved here from Georgia. Yeah, that guy from Georgia. Let's just call him Georgia. They called me Georgia for the first weeks. I'm like, all right, whatever. And I remember after 2 weeks, I didn't say a lot to a lot of people. I was really embarrassed and shy. One guy in the locker room just brought up to me. He's like, hey, Georgia. I'm like, what's Barrett? Whatever. Garrett, hey, why don't you curse? I haven't heard you curse. And I was like, well, I'm a Christian, and I don't believe it's honoring to God. And the bully said, wow, I really respect that. I'm going to totally honor that. No, they didn't say that. They made fun of me. They're like, what's wrong with you? You don't curse? And they made it their mission for the whole season to make me curse. So we are going to make your life miserable until you curse, and then we'll stop it. And I literally remember telling them this. I looked at them and I told them, you will never make me curse because you can't. And I didn't. And they never heard me curse. Because I said, no, I've doubled down that I want to honor God with my words, with my mouth, and I'm going to honor God in these words. And just because a bully mocks me for doing that which is righteous, you're going to mock me for being able to control the words that I say? You're going to mock me for actually speaking righteously? I'm going to double down and absolutely make sure that there's no doubt left. And so I want us, if you are being bullied for doing something that is right, that is good, that is God-honoring, I challenge you to double down with enthusiasm, as Nehemiah did, and work even harder. So then, after this, the enemy notices, wait a second, they've actually built half the wall. They kind of get a little bit nervous. And so if you keep reading in the text, it says that the enemy begins to plot and spread rumors. So all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to attack the Israelites before they finish their wall. We're going to try and scare them into stopping construction of their wall, and they're going to give up, and we are going to maybe even attack them. So rather than, with the threat of physical violence, rather than giving up and saying, oh, well, I guess we can't build their wall, they're threatening us, what happens is they arm themselves with weapons, and they get trumpets. They say, hey, if someone attacks your portion of the wall, blow the trumpet. We'll all collect there, and we'll defend one another at that place. They were not intimidated by physical violence by the bully from ceasing to do that which is right. And so sometimes bullying has a physical element. People can bully with spitting or hitting or punching or pushing or pulling. People can steal what is yours. That's a physical form of bullying, or throw hand gestures at you. And so there's this idea that there can be a physical element to bullying. And if you are a victim where you are physically being threatened, I would encourage you with this. please, one, know that you can defend yourself if you are physically in danger. If you are in a place where you physically believe my physical body is threatened, I'm being attacked, the right thing to do is you can defend yourself if you cannot get away. I would tell you to just separate yourself from the situation in most settings. For example, let me play this out. If someone insults you, all right, and they throw an insult at you, your nose is so big that if it bled, it would drown all of us in blood. That's actually an insult I heard from the movie Cyrano de Bergerac. But anyway, then it kind of works for me because I got a pretty big nose. But anyway, someone throws an insult at you. The response isn't, cool, I'm going to hit you, and you punch them. The response is, whatever, and you just walk away. Someone pushes you. You're like, cool, all right, you push me, goodbye, and you just leave. You don't have to be a part of that. But if you are physically in danger and they are raining punches down on you, you can defend yourself as a Christian. You should defend yourself as a Christian. It's okay to do. And some people will say, well, hold on, Jesus said to turn the other cheek. Well, in that context, if I'm able to go to the New Testament for a moment, when Jesus said that, here's what he meant. He says, if someone strikes you with their left hand on your left cheek, then you should turn the other cheek. And what he's saying is this. For that to happen, okay, so can I use you real quick? So, okay, this is your left cheek right here. You can stay right there, okay? This is my left hand, okay? I can't punch your left cheek with my left hand. What he's saying is if someone backhands you, all right, thank you. I didn't actually hit you. Were you nervous I was going to hit you? Okay, thank you. I didn't want to make you nervous. Yes, if someone backhands you, which is an insult. It's not actually like your life is in danger if someone slaps you, okay? It's embarrassing. It might sting a little bit, but it's an insult. Jesus is saying if someone insults you, turn the other cheek. Just turn away. Just don't even be involved in that. But Jesus wasn't talking about self-defense if your life is being threatened or your physical body is being threatened. So you can, as a Christian, defend yourself if you can. So please, no one leave this and be like, Pastor Barrett said I can get in fights anytime I want. No, I did not, okay? Don't go to school and just start bringing the fisticuffs, okay? That's not important. I remember the first time I went to jiu-jitsu, I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to learn how I can beat people up. And the instructor was like, hey, you're going to learn how to defend yourself, but you shouldn't use these techniques to beat people up. I'm like, oh, man, I had to learn that. And they're like, all right, they taught you how to defend yourself. But there is an understanding that if you have power, you should wield it well, not to oppress others, but also not in a foolish way. So please have the maturity to know the difference to when you should walk away and when you should protect yourself. Learn that distinction. Anyway, Nehemiah learned how to physically defend himself. They came up with a plan that if they were attacked physically by a bully, how they would protect themselves. And they kept on doing that which was righteous. They kept on going. And there's other ways that people can bully us. They can bully us socially. If you notice, when he was being bullied in this story, says that the enemy was doing this publicly with a bunch of officers and friends. They were all mocking them together. And here's how social bullying can play out. Social bullying can be when you publicly in front of other peers mock someone so that they're belittled in the group or ostracized or left out of the group. You can bully somebody by purposely leaving them out of a group chat just to mess with them. You can bully someone socially by not inviting them to something in a purposefully cruel way. I'm not saying you have to invite everybody to everything or have everybody in every group chat, but it's when you're excluding someone for the purpose of harming or belittling them. That's when it's a problem. Social bullying can also look like mocking someone in a public setting. I remember at my school, we had I think I've told you guys this before. In my middle school, this is so weird, we had a couples table. Okay, wasn't an official thing, but if you were dating, you could sit at that table with your girlfriend or boyfriend, and that was the only person that you had to be dating to sit there. The principal didn't make this table, the teachers didn't make the table, they knew about it, but you basically were publicly telling everyone, we are dating and we're sitting here and everyone knows it. And you could only sit there if you had a girlfriend or boyfriend. It was hysterical. But anyway, so you would know people were broken up if they didn't sit at the table together. So if one of my friends got a girlfriend, I'm like, well, guess I won't see him for a couple weeks because he's going to be sitting at the couples table. But anyway, I remember this girl, I won't say her name. you guys won't know who she is. This girl named Brittany was making fun of somebody because they were brand new to the school and they accidentally sat at the couple table. They didn't know it was a thing. They just sat at a table with people. And she's like, look at this guy. He's sitting at the couples table. What's wrong with him? And he's like, what is a couples table? Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, but it was the socially mocking thing that was taking place. And then the last form we'll talk about today is cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is where you do it virtually. You can do it through comments on social media posts. You can do it through what you post, or you can also do it through a microphone on video games. I'll give you an example. I don't really play video games, but during COVID, I got really bored and I played for like a couple months. And during that time, I got a headset. I'm like, this will be great. I'll just play with random people online and play video games. Let me tell you, I have never heard so much vulgarity and curse words in my entire life than when I got a headset and started playing Fortnite. It was wild. Some of you that play, you know what I'm talking about. Some of you that don't, please don't do it, okay? Only play with people you know. Because I just hopped on with random people. I would have literal kids in 5th grade, elementary school. I'm a grown man, okay? And I'd have my headset on, and I would just start off, and I'd be like, hello, friends. Are you ready to play the Fort of Night? And they would just start mocking me. And I'm like, this is a 5th grader insulting me. What's going on? And not just mocking me, but they would sometimes have vulgar language. They said things that I guarantee if they were face to face with me, they would never say to my face because they would be afraid that I would punch their face, okay? Like, I'm not saying I would, okay? I'm just saying they would be afraid of that. They would never have the courage to say it to my face, but suddenly they had this false sense of security and courage because it was anonymous and because there were no consequences to what they said to me. There are real-world consequences sometimes to the words you say or the actions that you have, but if you're online, especially if you have an anonymous account, you can say anything you want and there's no consequences to it. And that's what happens with cyberbullying, where you say things that are so rude that you would never say to someone's face, but when it's over a computer screen or a phone screen, you don't have a problem saying it. And middle schoolers, we have got to be careful about what we're saying online. And I also see it happen this way. I will see people post on social media, and I'll read the comments sometimes, and supposed friends will roast one another and mock one another, and I don't understand it. If you call yourself someone's friend, you shouldn't publicly be mocking them. You shouldn't be belittling them. You should be celebrating them. I saw a post a couple years ago. Middle schooler posted them playing basketball. It was just them posting a picture of him playing basketball. And he's like, have fun today playing basketball at the park. And some of the comments were other dudes who were like, dude, I would totally beat you in 1v1. Dude, you're garbage at basketball. I bet you missed the shot. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, why are you commenting these things? And I actually knew some of the kids who commented, and I talked to them like, hey, why did you comment this on so-and-so's post? Like, oh, we're just messing around. And I'm like, when was the last time you said an encouraging thing to him? And they're like, I don't remember. Like, how hard would it be to just hype somebody up or encourage a friend rather than just belittle them? And so sometimes your bullies can actually be your friends, and you have got to be careful. One, if you are a friend and you are saying cruel things all the time about your friends and you just say, oh, I'm just kidding if they get hurt. I'm just joking around. But why are you doing that? Your friends should be someone who build you up and encourage you, who celebrate your victories, who celebrate you. And don't always tear you down. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'll tease my brothers. Sometimes I'll tease my friends. Totally okay. But we need to know a line. And we also need to feel the freedom to go up to our friend and tell them, hey, that crossed the line. That kind of hurt my feelings. And then we need to receive that and say, okay, I'm going to be more careful. That's a good friend relationship when you can say that to each other. And I would recommend doing it privately. So that's how bullying plays out. Let's talk a little bit more about how to deal with it if you get bullied. If you get bullied for doing the right thing, as we said, please continue doing the right thing. If you, however, get insulted by someone else, the proper response is not with insults. I know that's not what you want to hear, okay? You want me to give you a bunch of comebacks where you write them on a piece of paper and you can like throw it back at your bully. I remember in middle school, I was in class, and this one guy in class would always mock me because I was like not only the skinniest kid in my grade in 6th grade, but I was also like the shortest boy in my grade in 6th grade. I was really small, and he used to always make fun of me for being small. And I remember one time he made fun of me in class, and I remember I got him with like a great one-liner, a zinger. I like had a comeback. And I remember I insulted him, and everybody laughed, and it was like, oh, wow, this is a great triumphant moment. You know, I went to school for 4 years with that guy after that. We never spoke once. Never spoke once after that. Sure, he stopped bullying me. But man, I don't think he would ever say Barrett was kind to me. Barrett showed me love. Barrett showed me forgiveness. And I'm embarrassed about the way I treated him, to be completely honest with you. And I think we need to not respond in kind with bullies like that. Now, there are various ways that you might feel comfortable responding that are okay. I think it's acceptable to challenge your bully. If a bully insults you, to challenge them, hey, why are you talking like this? Why are you insulting me? Where's this coming from? What's going on here? When Jesus was actually bullied, one time he was before the high priest and someone slapped him for what he said. And Jesus looked at the man and said, hey, why are you hitting me? What have I done wrong? He's challenging him. Why are you hitting me? I didn't deserve that. He didn't just sit there and take it. He challenged his bully in that way. And I think that we can do that. I think also you can get creative. Now, this is not biblical advice. This is just Barrett advice, okay? Please understand the difference. It's a big difference, okay? Barrett advice would be, this is what I would do when I had bullies. I was at Loudoun County High School. Walking in the hallway, there's this huge dude in the wrestling team, and he bumped into me. And to this day, we still argue about whether he did it on purpose or not. I think he did. It's a joke. But anyway, he bumped into me, and he goes like, watch it, little dude. And I'm like, sir, I would never bump an individual as large as you and as muscular as you because you are huge, and I would definitely be squashed by you, sir. And I literally saluted him, and he was like, what? He thought it was the funniest thing. We literally became friends, okay? Now, to be fair, he was not being my friend when he bumped me. He was just being mean. But after that, we literally became friends, and it became like a joke of ours that every time we saw each other, we would have a compliment insult battle, okay? So we'd see each other and be like, oh, this guy again. Hey, you look fantastic today. What'd you put in your hair? Is that coconut oil? And he'd be like, oh, you think that's great? Well, I love your shoes. Did you get those on clearance? Because they look nice. And we just like battle each other with compliments, and we literally became friends, okay? That's not every situation. That's just a situation. That worked for me, okay? So if somebody insults you, you can do that. Sometimes people want to insult me. And I saw this in a movie with Cyrano de Bergerac, and I copied it. Someone insults him, and he's like, that's the best you can do? That's the best insult you have? And then he began to give much more creative insults about himself. And I thought that was pretty funny, so I used that a few times. Someone was like, dude, you're so skinny. I'm like, that's the best you can do? All right, check this out. I'm so skinny that when I take a shower, I have to run around to get wet because the drops keep missing me, okay? I'm so skinny or I'm so small that like I would like make jokes about it. They would sometimes laugh. They'd be like, that's so weird, whatever. And they just kind of leave me alone after that. But sometimes, to be honest, I would do all the right things, and I still have bullying that persisted, and it wouldn't go away. And so sometimes your response needs to be to tell somebody in authority. Sometimes you need to bring somebody in. Whether you tell a parent, whether you tell a school administrator, whether you tell a youth pastor like me or one of our leaders, you need to tell somebody. Because Nehemiah practiced this as well. Nehemiah wrote to the king and said to the king who was over that region, hey, our neighbors are coming against us. They're threatening to kill us. And the king sent a message to them and spoke to them, telling them they need to stop. And so sometimes it is necessary for you to do that. And what bullies will do is they'll say to you, oh, that's snitching. Snitching is a made-up word for people that don't want to be held accountable for their actions. That's what that is. And when someone with more authority than a bully steps in and protects you, that's not a bad thing. Now, we should understand how to respond properly in certain situations, but sometimes you need to tell somebody. And so I encourage you, just speaking for our youth group, if you're in this youth group and you're experiencing bullying, or you're at camp, or you're at one of our activities or events, even if you don't know them, please tell a leader, please tell one of us. We want to handle it. Because I always say this, anyone is welcome at youth group. Anyone is welcome to be here. If you're in middle school, you are welcome to be here. You don't have to believe what we believe. You don't have to be a Christian. You are welcome here. However, you do need to respect others. You need to make sure that you're not being a threat to others. And you need to honor our leaders and listen to our leaders' instruction. That's it. Don't be a distraction and don't threaten other people, physically or verbally. That's it. That's our bar. It's a low bar. Just don't be a distraction during service, and don't threaten to injure anyone or injure anyone. That's it, okay? As long as you do that, you're welcome here anytime, okay? But we want this to be a safe environment. So if you ever don't feel safe in this environment, please tell us. Did you know that every single day, a study was done by the National Education Association, every single school day, 160,000 kids don't go to school in America because they're afraid of bullying. Think about that. 160,000 kids. That is a staggering number to me, and I never want that to happen in youth group where someone doesn't feel comfortable coming to youth group because they're enduring something. That is when you bring us in. When you're like, man, this continues to happen. I've tried to address it with them. I've tried to handle it. It's not working. Bring somebody in on that. Let somebody know, okay? Just a reminder. So that's what you should do if you are bullied. And I'd end with this final thing. If you are bullied, the last thing you have to do might be the hardest. You have to forgive the bully. You have to forgive them. Because Jesus forgave you and I. He forgave us, though we were rude to him, cruel to him, and wrong to him. Therefore, we must forgive others, for he has forgiven us. And it's not an easy thing to do, but it is what we are called to do. So we need to forgive those who bully us. Now let's talk about if you're a bystander. If you witness bullying, be it verbal or physical, statistics show that middle schoolers that witness bullying only intercede or only involve themselves and protect someone 20% of the time. If they see bullying, they just kind of watch, let it happen. That is not how we are to respond. Isaiah says that we are to protect the oppressed. We are to protect those that have injustice put upon them. If you see someone that is being bullied, get involved. I would say questionable is say, hey, why are you talking to him like that? Why are you being rude? What's wrong with you? Challenge that. Be like, what is wrong with you at this moment to do that, to be cruel? Now, the reason people don't speak up is because they're afraid, well, now the bully's going to look at me. Now I might have an issue. Good. Put yourself alongside somebody else and help them. So intercede on their behalf or tell somebody. Tell somebody that the bullying is taking place if it isn't stopping after you've tried to involve yourself. We need to step in and challenge them. And step in and let them know that that's not what we're about. I don't care if this happens in a cabinet camp. I don't care if it happens here, at your school, even in your home with your siblings. You need to involve yourself and protect those that you can. And maybe, again, protecting them is telling somebody that can help them. So we, as a bystander to bullying, need to involve ourselves and help protect others. And then finally, to the bully, if you are in this room today and you are bullying other people, probably one or two things is true. Either you are ignorant. You don't realize that you're bullying. Maybe in the middle of the sermon, you've been thinking, yeah, I kind of do talk like that to my friends. Or, yeah, sometimes I do say that to the new person. And you've kind of been becoming aware. I challenge you to consider your words and your actions more carefully. I challenge you to recognize that other people have a soul like you and have just as much value and worth to God as you do. If you ever want to see me angry, you insult or mock or threaten my children, you will see me angry. God looks at his children and says, treat my children well. If you and I are his children, then we should treat everyone well. There is no excuse, for all of us are made in God's image. So every person is deserving of dignity and respect. Do not insult others or mock them or use your position. Because remember, the definition is your position of power, authority. You're using it over someone. Maybe you're bullying someone because you have a social group that you feel comfortable with and they're new. And so you have power because you're comfortable. You have friends. You have an involvement in something. Maybe you're a bully because you're stronger physically and so you can threaten someone with that. We are called that if we are strong, be it socially or physically, you are to use your strength not to oppress or belittle other people, but to protect them, to help them, to serve them. That is why God gave you that gift of strength and leadership. And what makes me so angry too, some of the bullies that I encounter and I see, if they put any amount of effort into being good, they would be leaders. They should be leading everyone. And instead, they are leading, but they're leading them in a fearful, cruel way. They're oppressing people and putting them down rather than helping them. Just like the crabs in the bucket, they're pulling each other down rather than just pushing them up. So if you're a bully, please consider using whatever strength or power that you have for other people. Rather than excluding others, welcoming them in. Rather than insulting them, encouraging them, and lifting them up. We need to check our hearts and recognize that at times we are being selfish and uncaring. And I will include this. Please recognize I'm also talking about your siblings. If you have little siblings and you are older, you might be using that position of power and being older than them to be cruel, uncaring, unsympathetic. And you're like, whoa, they don't count. They're brothers and sisters. I can do that, okay? No, they do count. And they deserve to be loved and respected and cared for as well. And not picked on, not to be treated poorly by you. And I can certainly attest that I was not perfect with this. I think of everyone, I probably bullied my siblings the most. I was the eldest, and I didn't really bully my friends as much or people at school, but I did struggle with that. And I've gone back to them and said, sorry. Sorry I tied you up with belts and threw you in a closet once. Sorry I locked you in a closet and played Barney on loop for 3 hours until mom and dad got home from a date. These are all true stories. Sorry I convinced you there was a zombie apocalypse when you were on drugs after getting your wisdom teeth taken out. I did that. So just, again, a lot to apologize for, but they are loving and they forgave me for these things. And I'm appreciative of that. But please be kind and loving to your siblings as well. So I hope we can learn from Nehemiah's story and even the examples that we talked about with Jesus, how we can and should deal with bullying as Christians. We should respond with love. We should respond to protect others. We should respond too with admitting when we have sinned and done wrong and been cruel to others. So this is a biblical approach. And again, please, let me just end with this. Please remember to tell somebody if it's going on. Okay? All right, let's pray. Father God, thank you so much for your goodness, for your kindness to us, for your forgiveness shown to us. I pray, Lord, that when we see bullying take place or cruelty take place, that we would say something or step up or involve ourselves. That we would be willing to forgive others who have been cruel to us, wrong to us. And I pray, Lord, too, that if we struggle with being cruel to others or bullying others, that we would ask for forgiveness. Recognize what we've done wrong and ask for forgiveness, Lord. We love you. It's in the name of your son, Jesus, we pray. And everybody said...